Thank you for tuning into Manifesting Sons broadcast. Today we would like to share with you an impactful message by Dr. Mark T. Jones Sr., Shifting Gears, a mandate for a new life. We hope you enjoy our program.
Say to everything, there is a season. Now, I want you to take note of this. If you're taking note, life is best lived in segments. Say segments. And discerned by seasons. We live life in segments. And we discern our lives. We discern our segments. Every segment is broken down to certain seasons. Now, a season, write this down. A season is about what I am supposed to produce in God. A season is about what God has purposed to birth in my life that could not be birthed at other times. Now I'm going to ask you a question for a moment. Do you know what season you're in? Because everything about a season in God demands intentionality. You need to know what you're supposed to birth in this season of your life. Now, the good thing about it, listen, for those of you that say, I don't really know what God wants, well, I got good news for you. Tomorrow we enter into a fast. Tell somebody, you finna find out. Today's lesson, shifting into a highly prophetic season.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. Say, I'm shifting into a highly prophetic season. Declare it again over your life. I'm shifting into a highly prophetic season. Listen to me, prophetic voices. Your prophecies are going to keep you awake at night in this season. Look at somebody prophetic and tell them, get ready to lose sleep. Because God is going to begin so many serious downloads into your life that you will not be able to sometimes sleep. You'll only be able to sleep for a couple of hours before heaven start downloading a whole nother thing. Say, this will be the most prophetic season of my life. Come on, somebody shout, I am shifting into a highly prophetic season. Now, a segment is the overall theme of a certain section of our lives. Seasons represent, write this down. Seasons represent a phase. Say, somebody shout, I'm in a phase. Seasons represent a phase more than a time frame. And some of you right now, I heard the Lord say that you are in a new phase of your walk with God. Who am I talking to in this house? Come on. You are in a new phase. Come on, tell your neighbor, you are in a new phase of your walk with God. Now, I need you to prophesy to somebody and tell them dead things are passed away. And behold, tell them, look at you, all new. Come on, say, look at you, all new. Come on, declare it. Look at you, sitting there, all new. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, I felt something on that. I said I felt something on that. I believe that was a prophetic moment for somebody. I believe that was a prophetic moment for somebody that has been carrying the residue of past pain. Behold, he makes all things new. Every dead thing has been broken off of your life. I need you to look behind you and tell somebody, put away the grave clothes. There will be no more funerals in your honor. Come on, it's time for you to live. It's time for you to live. It's time for you to live. It's time for you to live in the abundance that the Spirit of the Lord has purpose concerning your life. Somebody shout, I declare over my life that it's time for me to live. Y'all sit down. I got to get this done quickly. In every season of your life, write this down. There is something you're supposed to discern. Come on, tell somebody there's something you're supposed to discern right now. There's something supposed to be deposited right now. And there's something that is supposed to be derived from your efforts right now. Say discernment, deposits, and derivatives. Say discernment, deposits, and derivatives. A prophetic season is a season in which God wants to actualize. Y'all better pay attention. You better tell somebody you better pay attention, because there's a train coming through here and you're going to miss it if you don't pay attention. Every prophetic season is a season in which God wants to, watch this, actualize his fullest intention for your existence. Y'all did not hear what I said. A season like this that we have stepped into is called a fullness of time. Y'all didn't hear what I said. I said a season like this is called a fullness in time. In other words, the requirements for you to step over into this have already been met. Tell somebody you suffered long enough to step into this. Oh my God, yeah. Tell somebody you've suffered. Hey, tell somebody you've suffered long enough to step into this. You've stressed long enough to cross over into this new place. You've been pregnant long enough. And now your pain has birthed a purity that's going to bring you into prophecies that you didn't even know how they were going to come to pass. You've suffered well, and now you are stepping into something of epic proportions. Now watch what happens in this season of shedding. For those of you on the outside of this moment looking in, one of the first things that have had to happen in this season, according to 2 Timothy 2:22, it says, now fleeing youthful lusts. Come on, fleeing youthful lusts. Tell somebody chasing tail is over for you. Flee. Who am I talking to in this Presbyterian house? Tell somebody else, chasing tail is over for you. He said it's time for you to quit acting like a little horny toad. He said it's time for you to flee youthful lust and pursue righteousness. He said pursue faith, love, and peace along with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. Tell somebody this is a season of your pure heart. Y'all didn't hear what I said? You're not going to sing and swing this season. No, I said you're not going to sing and swing. Tell somebody, flee youthful lust. That's one of the payments required in this season. God said, I'm going to need you to realize that I've spent too much time trying to bring you into maturity for you to act like you're still a 19-year-old. He said, I have ordained this season. He said, and this is the time for you to stretch out and cross over into that which I purpose for your life before the foundations of the earth. Number two. He said it's time for us to make our calling and election sure. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 10. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, make every effort to confirm your calling. It's time to confirm your calling and election. For if you do these things, you will never stumble. Now, watch this now. The reason that some of us keep stumbling is because you haven't done the work to make your calling and election sure. Oh my God. You're not operating like somebody God called to do something great. Tell somebody your friends don't look like your future. And part of the reason that many of us have been struggling and stammering is because you don't understand that it's not enough to be called. You have to posture yourself as a called person. Y'all did not hear what I just said. You got to posture, my God, you got to posture yourself as a called person. Say, I have to posture myself as a person called by the Most High God. That just means there are certain people that I can't be hanging out with this season of my life. There are certain things that I used to do that somebody shout, that's over now. Now here's why. Say it with me, because I'm shifting into the most prophetic season of my life. Number three, he says we need to lay aside every weight and every sin that so easily besets us. Hebrews 12:1. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance the race that God has set before us. Listen, somebody needs to hear me. There is grace for the race that God has set before you. Now, there is no grace if you won't run the race. If you tell somebody, if you won't run the race, you are on your own. You know what I'm telling some of you right now? Because you haven't even postured yourself to be in the race. That's why you felt like you've been on your own. There's no grace unless you are ready to run the race. Y'all got that, believers? Here's number 4. All of these things are preliminary to actualizing the prophetic. Somebody shout, the prophetic comes with conditions. Say it again. The prophetic comes with conditions. Say it again. The prophetic comes with conditions. It's time to shift into something more. Now I want you to go to Genesis 12 for just a moment, and I want you to walk with me through a few verses that are going to help you to actualize God's intention for this prophetic season of your life. Amen. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. I can't slow down for you because this train is moving. Genesis 12:1. It says, now the Lord said to Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto a land that I will show you. Several things I want you to take note of or pay attention to. There is a moment in your life in God called now. Now, when you are in a moment in your life with God called now, write this down. Whatever I was doing is over. When you are in a moment called now, say now. When you are in a moment called now, whatever your plans were, Abram, scrap them. When you are in a moment called now, watch this now. Whatever and whoever you have been hanging on to, it's time to let them go. Oh, come on, somebody. When you are in a moment called now, whatever you have been letting and allowing to define you, God says it now loses its right to do so from now on. Say, I'm in a moment called now. Somebody say, I'm in a moment called now. So now watch this now. Whatever my expectations were where I was, I have to abandon them for the sake of now. Some of you need to hear me clearly. This moment in your life is not like any other. Because in the economy of God, you're in a place called fullness of time. Now, what that means is this. There are some things that God allowed you to get away with in times past that won't work now. There are some misprioritizations of your time that God permitted and allowed in times past. But say it with me, that won't work now. There are some relationships that God told you to sever because they are relationships based on vice and perversion. And God said, where you're going next, you're going to have to sever those relationships of perversion, and you're going to have to cleave to relationships of purpose. Say it with me. I'm in a time called now. Come on, say it with me. I'm in a time called now. Somebody say it again. I'm in a time called now. Is a place where the voice of the Lord is speaking very dominantly in your life. Now is a place where God says, I don't listen. It doesn't matter what you were up to and who you were up to it with. I am now summoning you to a new dimension. And the summons requires the surrender of your total person and your total will to the plan and purpose of God as predetermined before the foundations of the earth. Write this down. I need to pay attention in the now. Because prophetic nows in God always start with a voice. They always start with a voice. They are always typified by geographical regions and geographical assignments. They always have an impact on relatives, and they always have an impact on close family, and they're always characterized by a goal. Look at verse 2. He says, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. Listen to what God said to Abraham, and God said to us, Abram, and what God is saying to us. I am creating something new. Watch this, and you are where I'm starting. Say, God is creating something new, and I am where he's starting. Come on, say it again. God is creating something new, and we are where he's starting. Say it again. God is doing something new, and it's in me that he wants to do it. Believers, you are in a prophetic moment called now, and it's imperative that you hear the voice of God, that you align with the intention of God, and that you abandon the frivolous use of your time, energy, and emotions so that you can align with your whole heart with what the Lord has purposed concerning your life in this hour. Verse 3, he says, and I, say I. He said, I will bless them that bless you, and I will curse them that curse you. And in all the families of the earth, in all the families of the earth shall be, in thee all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Listen to what God said. God says, because you are stepping into the most prophetic season of your life, I'll be watching how people treat you. I need you to tell two people this season is not the season to be playing with me. Come on, tell two people this season is not the season to be toying with the anointing on my life. Tell somebody else this is not the season to be trying my life, because you're stepping into a place right now where God said, I, the Lord, am going to be watching how people treat you to decide how I deal with them. Now, watch the requirement. Watch the requirement. Watch the requirement. If you're going to have God as your defender, you got to give up defending yourself. I need you to look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's time to delete those emails. Tell your neighbor it's time to delete those text messages. Tell somebody it's time to tear up your receipts. Because this is not a season where you're going to have to fight with a whole lot of frivolous conversation. This is not a season where you're going to have to defend yourself. Because the Lord said, if you will step into what I'm doing right now, I will be your defender. I will answer every attack on your life. I am watching over you, and you will not need to waste one emotion on what somebody's agenda is in your life. He said, I, the Lord, will bless those that bless you, and I will deal with.
Come on and preach, God.
I will deal with anything that attempts to take you out of your prophetic purpose. I will deal with anything that attempts to steal your attention from worship. I will deal with anything that seeks to be a distraction for what I've called you to put your energy and time and effort and attention into. For I, the Lord, have sent you. I, the Lord, have called you. And I'm upholding you by the power of my right hand. Say it with me again. I'm shifting into the most prophetic season of my life. He says in verse 4 to Abram and us, so Abram departed as the Lord has spoken unto him. Somebody shout, unparalleled obedience. Unparalleled, unconditional, unwavering. There are some things God's going to speak to you, believers, in the next few months you better not pray about. You're stepping into a place with God that God has said, I am speaking in such a clear way to you that if you come to me asking me about it, I will know you're in unbelief. And here's why. It's because of this place that the Lord has separated you to in him that you are hearing from God. And you need to move and act as if you have heard from God. And make sure that anything going on in your emotions that'll stand in the way of the kind of confidence and courage and boldness that you need to step out, tell somebody it's time for you to deal with that. It's time for you to deal with that. Because listen, your calling will require courage. Your calling will require courage in this season. You got to step out into, listen to this, you've got to embrace the unknown. God is calling you to embrace the unknown. Embrace, tell somebody, go towards it. Now watch this now. What you'll discover is that as you start moving toward the really hard things, I'm talking about the things that God, it has to be God or you're going to look like a fool. If God don't come through, you're going to look like a fool. As you start moving toward those things, you're going to see the hand of God moving on your behalf. Somebody shout, God is with me. Y'all understand that, believers? Now watch this now. There are many of you on the sound of my voice right now. You need to embrace this word. You know why you need to embrace it? I heard these two words in my spirit. Unprecedented acceleration. There are some things that are about to happen for you. They're going to happen so quickly, you better have a solid mind. There's some things that are about to unfold in your life, and they're going to happen so quickly that you got to make sure you have gotten all the vanity out of your soul. There are some things that are about to happen. Oh my God, who am I talking to in this house? There are some things that are about to unfold. Watch this now. Look at somebody, tell them, one after another. Listen to me. There are blessings that are about to hit your house like the damage that hit Job's house. Y'all didn't hear what I said. If y'all remember the story of Job, somebody said it was one thing after another. There's some of you right now, you're entering into a prophetic vortex, one thing after another. Before you move on one thing, God said, I'm going to open another door. So you got to be ready to step into all the doors that God is opening now. This is not the season to be cautious. Slap two people high five and tell them one thing after another is about to overwhelm your bank account. Come on, tell them one thing. Oh my God. Tell them one thing after another is about, it's about to overwhelm. One thing after another is about to overwhelm your bank account. One door after another. One door after another is about to open up. It's already open. You're about to perceive it. Now watch this now. And what it requires of you is simply say boldness. Confidence. Now, the only thing that can cloud your vision as God begins to unfold his prophetic intent for your life, the only threat to you being able to move deliberately is if you haven't done the work in your mind to not allow your mentality to short circuit your destiny. Y'all understand that, believers? Listen. Now, listen to me, believers. What God is doing is irresistible. You understand that? Think about this. Think about this. Abraham had a man take his wife. And God stepped in and shut every womb down. Shut it down. You know what God said? I will fight you over this man. You understand that, believers? Now why? Because remember, Abraham, faith and coming into covenant with God is all about. He said, this man is a prophet. God called Abraham a prophet. He said, this man is a prophet. So when you step into one of these highly prophetic seasons like this, you've got to give up fighting on your own behalf. And you got to trust that God is going to, God himself, oh my God, God himself is going to war against and resist every effort that seeks to keep me from experiencing the fullness of his intention in my life in this season. Say, this battle is not mine. Now that requires confidence, believers, and patience on the part of the saints. Y'all got that? So Abram departed, and as the Lord spoke unto him, watch this, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Watch this. Minor adjustments to the instructions can cause you major issues. Some of you right now need to understand this. You cannot tell everybody what God is telling you. Look at somebody and tell them, this is a no ad-lib season. You can't alter these instructions. No additives. No extra voices in the equation. Only what God said. Only how God said. Only with whom God said. Let Lot go. And Abram took Sarah his wife and Lot his brother's son. These relationships. And all their substance that they gathered, and all the souls that they gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto a place of Shechem, unto the plain of Moreh. And the Canaanites was then in the land. And the Lord appeared to Abram and said, unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord who appeared to him. Now I'm going to close with this. There are three characteristics of this season that you need to pay attention to, because I'm telling you, believers, you have stepped into something significant. Come on, tell somebody, you have stepped into something significant. Can you all embrace that God has literally shifted you into a new dimension? And with a new dimension comes new demands. Now, three things I want you to pay attention to. I want you to hear me. And I want you to ask God to show you how these three things can be applied in your life and in what God is doing in your life right now. Three things characteristic of this season. Number one, God is giving you unusual instructions. Unusual. Say, I'm open for unusual instructions. Now, this is why you got to be committed to God like never before. Because there are some things that God will be speaking to you that if you bounce it off other people, their need for things to make sense will become a distraction to your need to obey God. God's about to give you some don't make no sense instructions. Now, here's why. Because God never, listen, even though God has a very specific purpose and plan for your life in this season, it is never a straight shot getting there. Are you hearing me, believers? Say unusual instruction. Here's the second characteristic of this prophetic season that you must embrace. Write this down. Radical obedience. The demand of this season is to move when God clarifies and when what God wants crystallizes in your heart and your mind, you got to move radically. Say radical obedience. I don't care what it costs me. I don't care what it costs me. Right? I don't love my comfortable little life more than I do following the very specific instructions Don't allow your comfortable little life to keep you from following the specific instructions that God has given to you about this prophetic season. Y'all got that? Say radical obedience. Here's the third thing and the last thing. What you're going to see when you act on unusual instructions in radical obedience. Watch this now. Here is your reward. Manifested presence. Manifested presence. Now listen to me. As we, like Abram, realize the gravity of this season that we have stepped into in God. Say now season. As we hear and engage these unusual instructions, they don't make sense. They are to make faith. And as we engage these unusual instructions in radical obedience, listen what the Lord's going to do. The Lord is going to reward you with an intensified measure of his presence. Oh, God. Now, why is that important? Why is that important? You still writing? Presence is what makes the difference. Presence is what makes the difference. You realize that when the presence of God steps into your business, it's not just business anymore. When the presence of God is manifested in greater measures in your home, there are different connotations to what goes on in your home. When the presence of God is intensified, the manifest presence of God is intensified in your life in the measures and in the proportions that I'm seeing in my spirit. Say it with me, everything changes. Lift your hands to the Lord.
Thank you for joining us today. Visit us for one of two services on Sunday mornings, 8 o'clock and 10:30 a.m. There are so many ways to partner with us. If God is using this ministry to impact your life and you would like to reach others by sowing a seed, text the word GIVE to 754-210-8654. Visit www.centerformanifestation.com to stay connected with us. Also, visit us on YouTube at Manifestations Worldwide. This is the season for the manifestation of the sons of God. Be blessed and manifest.